So this function is cubic, it's not quadratic. Can't use a quadratic formula. To graph it. Okay? And it's not parabolic. So what can we say about it? Well, we can say what the zeros are. What are they?
3. -5 and -1.
Yeah, now I'm going to do them in order from left to right, because that can be useful. Okay? But what you said was fine. Okay? So zeros are here. What's the y-intercept? How do you get the y-intercept?
Would be 15.
Yeah, you plug in x equals 0, -15. I'm just going to write that down. I said before how you get the y-intercept, right? I assume you've got that locked in. Because
Would it not be +15 since there's 2 negatives?
Well, no, because you don't multiply these numbers. You plug in 0 here, and you get a -2 positives. I see what you were thinking. You don't multiply these, you multiply these, okay? After plugging in the 0. Okay, so good, good. Good answers, even if you did get the wrong sign. Okay. Well, we can put this information on a graph, and I'll do that in a minute. But now I want to move to the thing I screwed up on the assignment. So between x equals -5 and x equals 1, is this thing going to be positive or negative? Any ideas how we might answer the question?
You can plug in any
Plug in.
Plug in what?
The numbers between. Plug in the numbers.
Plug in all the numbers in between -5 and -1, see if they're all positive or all negative, right? Of course, that'd be a little tedious since there's an infinite number of numbers between -5 and -1, but I don't think that's what you all actually said. But, you know, since I can't hear, I'll pretend that's what you said, okay? But really, so let's put it this way. We'll just do it this way. I was going to get creative, but I won't. Okay, if x is between -5 and -1, can you tell me what the sign of x minus 3 is?
It's going to be a negative.
It's got to be negative? I agree. Okay? Because, among other things, anything between here and here is negative, right? if I add a negative to -3, I'm still going to get a negative, right? Okay? Now there's a more sophisticated way to reason that out, but just thinking about what the numbers are, you can figure that out. This is negative. What about x plus 5?
It's going to be either positive or 0.
Yeah, now when I say between, maybe I should say in the open interval from -5 to -1, okay? Which wouldn't include the -5 and the -1. I'm still not sure what the word between means anyway. Does it include -5 and -1, or just the things that are in between, okay?
So it'd just be positive then, right?
Yeah, but so, if x was -5, you'd get 0, right? But x is going to have to be greater than -5, right? Okay? So let's remove ambiguity here. Let me just rephrase this. Because we really want to talk about intervals anyway. So, you know, I'm trying to use familiar vernacular. But we probably ought to transition to interval because we've done that already. Okay? Yeah. The word between is really what I want to get rid of, but I need to get rid of the rest of it too. Okay? So, on the interval, -5, -1. Now it's an open interval, so it doesn't include -5 or -1, right? So I can say that, okay, if x is -5, it's going to give me 0. Okay? But of course, if x is -1, I'm going to get 4, right? And it should be clear that if I go just a little to the right of -5, then when I add that to 5, I'm going to get a positive, right? Okay? Between -5 and -1, this will go from 0 to 4. Okay? But in the open interval, it'll always be positive. Okay? And certainly it'll never be negative anyway. So it's positive. And x plus 1 is what? Well, if x was -5, this would be -4. If x was 1, it would be 0, right? So these numbers will go between -4 and 0, but not including. Well, all those numbers are negative, right? I mean, 0 isn't, but you don't include it. Okay? So this is negative. So what do you conclude? Well, for x in the interval, and that's a symbol you should have seen, means set membership, right? X is a member of this set. X is in the interval. Okay, f of x is the product so it's negative. Make sense? This is very important. This is the key thing you need to understand in order to graph factored polynomial and rational functions. A couple of other things you've got to understand as well, but this is the one that gives people trouble for some reason.